Umi and welcome back to my Pink Pantheress dress-up game series. If you're new here, hello, nice to meet you. And if you're a subscriber or a frequent viewer, hey, it's good to see you again. If you haven't seen the previous videos, definitely check those out first through the playlist. They'll give this episode some context. In this episode, I went through the entire game with a fine-tooth comb, testing every feature, fixing every bug, polish every scene, and even making my own music and creating illustrations for the game, thumbnail and banner. This was the final push before the game was truly ready. First up, the clothing clicking detection. I ran into a really frustrating problem. When I click on the clothing items to remove them, the wrong item would disappear. Like I click on the shoes and the dress would come off instead. Super annoying, right? I fixed this by giving each clothing type its own clickable area, basically a hitbox. The shoe got a smaller hitbox. The dress got a tiny one since it's already huge. I also changed the order of the game checks items, so the shoes gets clicked before the dress can block them. And now everything removes exactly what you click on. Next up was the sound button issue. The mute button wasn't syncing between scenes again. You can mute the music in the main menu, go into the game, and the button will show the wrong icon, even though the music was muted. I set up a globing signal system so all of the sounds buttons would talk to each other. Now when you mute in any scene, every single button updates instantly. Perfect sync across all scenes. Now, let's talk about the music. I wanted tracks that really matched the aesthetic of a fun, girly dress-up game, but I couldn't use the copyrighted ones, and most free music online didn't fit either. There are some music producers on YouTube I like to work with, either to buy or commission a track for my dress-up game. However, I learned that licensing a game for music can be a bit more complicated, and I don't currently have the budget to go through that process. If I did, I'd love to have producers like Produce Chibi and Shoo Shoo Boo Boo create a track for me. My first attempt was okay, but it was a bit slow and generic. The second attempt sounded more innocent and wholesome, like frolicking in the flower fields, but I wanted more of a girly pop vibe. I took a break because my head started to hurt. When I came back, I tried something completely different. I learned how to make a UK garage and a two-step beats using Mute.io. Then I uploaded the beats to BandLab, searched for free melody samples, and eventually found the perfect sounds in the Kawaii Future bass, and that changed everything. After a lot of trial and error, the tracks finally started to come together. Here's how I built the menu track. And here's how I build the main game track. Once I was satisfied, I exported the tracks and added them into the game. While tweaking the game, I noticed the wardrobe felt empty when players first opened it. To make it more engaging, I created a little prompt label in Clip Studio Paint that says, "Let's get dressed," with a start button. I also refined and polished certain buttons, like the music button and the folders, to better match the game art style and give them more depth. Now it feels way more polished and welcoming, and it really helps the game visuals. I also created illustrations for my thumbnail and banner for the game I'll be releasing on Itch.io. Luckily, I recorded the speed painting process for these designs, so you can watch it while I explain everything else in this video. These illustrations are based on 2 images of Pink Pantheress. I choose them because they are from her recent album and I really love their style. I also used one of them to replace the current sprite, making the game feel more visually cohesive and aesthetically pleasing. During my final test run, I went through every scene and fixed a bunch of issues that were still lingering in the game. So here's everything I cleaned up before the final build. The first problem was the outfit flashed for a split second when the finished scene loaded. This was happening because the outfit was actually being applied twice. So I removed the duplicate call, hit the scene using modular A equals 0.0 until everything was ready, and then I added a smooth fade-in scene to make it look intentional. Next, the sound button icon wasn't updating at the right time. It would change the frame too late, which made it feel laggy. I fixed this by updating the button press state after processing the frame so the icon and audio stay perfectly in sync. The save button also wasn't working in the browser version. That's because the user path don't work on web builds. So I replaced the whole system with JavaScript Bridge, which lets the player download the image directly. The share button had the same problem. It didn't work at all on the web, so I rebuilt it using the web share API. On mobile, it opens the narrative share sheet, and on desktops, it just copies the link to the clipboard. I also updated the share text so it doesn't cause any copyright issues. Another thing I noticed that during the fade out, you could briefly see the underwear layer or the bald head underneath the hair layer. This is how transparency layers behave in Godot. I tried a few different fixes, but none of them looked better, so I left it as it is because it was barely noticeable. When I tested the save and share features, the screenshot was missing the window frame. This happens because the UI wasn't inside the sub viewport. So I reorganized the scene tree, moved the UI into the background node, and placed the window frame inside the sub viewport. After that, the screenshot captured everything correctly. The sub viewport also had a faint grey shadow around it. This is a transparency limitation in Godot 4. I tried a few different approaches, but none of them removed it completely, so I left it since it's a really minor visual issue. And finally, I added all fade-in transitions to every scene. Before this, only the fade-outs and some of the fade-ins were implemented, so some scenes popped in instantly. Now that every transition feels smooth and consistent across the whole game. After fixing all of these, the game finally feels polished from start to finish. This was the last big cleanup before the final build. Once everything was fixed, I tested the entire game again from start to finish. I went through the for loop, and this time, everything worked exactly the way it was supposed to. There were no missing textures, no broken buttons, and no audio issues. All of the outfit layers behaved correctly, the transitions were smooth, and the mute button stayed perfectly in sync, and the UI looked clean and consistent across every scene. For the first time, the whole game felt polished, stable, and complete, and it finally looked and played like a real finished project. This was the moment I realized the game was truly finished. After all the fixes, polish, music, and testing, Pretty in Pink Dress Up finally felt complete. And that officially wraps up the development of my dress up game. Thank you so much for following this journey. It's been such a fun project, and I'm really proud of how far it come. If you enjoy this series, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time.